Get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text Kettle to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text KETTLE to 321-321. That's Kettle to 321-321.
Co-Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, one family owned and still going strong for 60 years. Decade after decade, Co-Heating and Air has been known for providing quality heating and cooling services that ensure your family stays comfortable year-round. That's no accident. That's a legacy of customer care, excellence, and relationships that have endured from generation to generation. Go with who you know. Go with Co. Proud to be your American Standard dealer. Find them at coheatcool.com today.
Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios. This is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan. This is a presentation of Fort Wayne High School sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopy Insurance Services High School Coaches Show. Hoopy Insurance, our family serving your family for over 40 years. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Insurance Services. I am Justin Kenny. We're talking Week 6 of the high school football season, and it'll be the first Friday night that will feel a little bit like fall. Maybe it's finally here, but if you're going out tomorrow night, make sure you pack a sweatshirt, pack an extra blanket, because it is going to be a little bit chilly tomorrow night. It's definitely football weather. You can say that. And we'll talk a lot about Week 6 here over the next 60 minutes or so. Brice, Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net will join us here in just a couple of seconds, as he does each and every Thursday to kick off the show. At about 6:15, we'll talk to Coach Michael Mosier of the Adams Central Flying Jets. His team undefeated, #2 in the state in Class 1A, and their rivalry game is coming up tomorrow night against South Adams. We'll talk to Coach about that game and looking towards the future for AC. At the bottom of the hour, Coach Josh Gerber, head coach of the Norwell Knights, will join us. That team's also undefeated with some aspirations for the postseason. When you look at Class 3A, we'll talk to Coach Gerber about how his team has looked through the first half of the season and preparing for a road trip to East Noble coming up tomorrow night. We'll wrap it up with New Haven coach Kyle Booher. His team hits the road to visit Columbia City tomorrow night in a pivotal NE8 showdown. So a lot to get to over the next hour. Let's kick it off with our buddy Brice Vance, who joins us right now. Brice, how are you?
I'm A-okay, Justin. How are you?
A-okay, good. Are you excited that it's finally starting to feel like fall, or are you depressed?
No. As you might know, and maybe some of the listeners, but for those that don't know, I'm on the bigger side. I don't like to be sweaty. Yeah. I actually prefer, the colder weathers, the colder months, and I love putting on sweatshirts. I'm wearing one right now. Sweatpants, jeans, layering up as opposed to not having that many layers on, and sweating. Sweating is the biggest issue in my life, I'd say.
A lot of us have issues, and sweating is not a good one. I can relate at times for sure, but it's going to feel like football weather tomorrow night for the first time. So you should be comfortable where you're going, which I believe is Angola, correct?
Yes, that is correct, for a pivotal NECC big matchup.
Let's start there, Brice, when we look at Angola and this game. And, Fairfield, we've thought a lot about Fairfield after beating Southport in week 4, and we felt, wow, this team's 4-0, and they could be really good. And then West Noble really brings them back down to earth, and then we kind of look into Fairfield a little bit more and say, well, who had they played and who had they beaten? But credit goes to West Noble for really limiting the triple option and getting a win. Now it's Angola's job to do the very same. What should we expect up in Angola? Because this, as you mentioned, a pivotal game in the NECC Big Division.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Angola's defense prepares for this and attempts to slow it down, because they've faced, some different offenses here early on. Some of them like to spread you out, with Leo's new type of offense that they run, DeKalb, earlier in the season. And I'm not sure what they were faced up against Chelsea and Michigan, but it feels like they've maybe faced a little bit more pass-heavy teams here so far in the season. So I'm interested to see how they defend the run. I'm sure that they'll be able to do a pretty good job of it. It'd just be interested to see how they attack this, rush first, primarily rushing offensive attack, where they run the ball, run the triple option, 90% of the time, and can Fairfield, keep pace with that, keep pace with Angola's offense run by Tyler Call, who's done a tremendous job from last year to this year, improving as a quarterback and being able to control that offense and run the ball effectively. It also helps to have, a healthy Andre Tagliaferri, who is a speedster, if we get the ball to him in open space, can do a lot of dangerous things. So it's definitely an interesting matchup. I would probably give the advantage to Angola, as they have faced the Fars. Their schedule is probably a lot harder than what Fairfield has faced so far, so they're maybe a little more experienced, maybe a little bit ready for a bigger game of this magnitude.
And a very big game for Angola in the sense that if they can get a win tomorrow night, they only have one division game left. That's at winless Garrett in week 8. So you have to feel pretty confident in the Hornets being the big division champs if they can get this win at home tomorrow night.
Yeah, and coming into this season, it was kind of up in the air who was going to win this division. You didn't really know what Fairfield was going to do after having a successful season last year. Angola's been down for a couple of years. Lakeland, showed some promise last year. Maybe took a slight step back this year as they brought in a freshman quarterback, and they're just, kind of building towards the future up there in LaGrange. And then, we haven't really known what we've been able to see out of Garrett these last couple of years. It's kind of been up in the air where they're kind of going. So it was kind of a mixed bag of what we're going to get in the big division. You didn't really know who's going to step above everybody else. And so far it's been Angola. And they've kind of, played the best out of these teams so far. They've faced the best competition. They've looked a lot better overall over the course of this season and handled their business against a good West Noble team that, took a giant step forward from where they've been the last couple of years as well. So a really nice job for Angola after, a down couple of years, just about a handful of years ago, they were, dominating this side of the NECC division and dominating in the area and after making back-to-back regional appearances.
Brice Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net joining us here on the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. Brice, let's continue and look towards the ACAC, and it's a traditional rivalry. Week 6 has been it for the last several years between Adams Central and South Adams. AC has commanded this rivalry of late. They beat South Adams twice last year by a combined score of 108-0. AC has won 8 of the last 10 in the series. The Flying Jets look like the clear-cut favorite in the ACAC. What does South Adams need to do to keep this one close in Bern tomorrow?
I mean, I just need Owen Weiner to go off and have himself a game. And he's capable of doing it. Maybe the defenses that he has faced have been less than compared to what he's going to face tomorrow night in Adams Central. Because I thought last week against Heritage, or Heritage against AC, I thought Heritage was going to move the ball a lot better than they did. And Kobe Meyer tried his best. They tried to dink and dime their way up the field, and it only really worked a couple of times to where they moved the ball downfield. But I know South Adams likes to take a lot more deep shots Can they keep Warner upright and give him time for those receivers to get downfield, because he's got, a couple of weapons that are capable if he, decides to go in different directions and try to spread the wealth a little bit and not key on just one receiver for AC to defend. But AC is just a well-oiled machine right now in the way that they've played. Coach Mosier, who you're going to have on here in about 5-10 minutes, said last week that was the best they've played so far this season. And the way it starts with the way that they've been practicing. They've set the standard for themselves that they know what their best is, and if they can bring that out on a Friday night, I just don't know that many teams in Class 1A or in the area or in the ACAC can beat them because their best is better than a lot of other teams' best right now.
Speaking of teams' best and how it's far and above everyone else, at least have what we've seen so far, the Norwell Knights, they're 5-0 overall. They're 3-0 in the Northeast 8. They travel to Kendallville to take on East Noble tomorrow. Norwell leads the entire state in points allowed per game at 2.8. 7 points allowed at Minnesota and last week against New Haven. Otherwise, it's been shutouts across the board. Look, East Noble's a good team. They gave Leo a battle last week. But, man, it looks like Norwell far and above everyone else in the Northeast 8. And, I mentioned what does South Adams need to do to keep this one close. What does East Noble need to do to keep this one close tomorrow night in Kendallville?
I think you're going to have to make it a defensive slugfest, and I think that's probably, maybe East Noble's youngest inexperienced area right now, still this far into the season. I think they can move the ball. I think, Tyson Reinbold is able, Dylan Krell is able to run the ball well. It's going to be hard running into, the linebacking core of Luke Graff, Ringer, and Rusu for Norwell. Those three guys are really talented. They can fly all around the field and make plays, can shut, teams down and get into the backfield. And it's going to be tough for East Noble to kind of make this a back and forth kind of game. So they got to, I think, make it a defensive battle, keep it low scoring, limit the possessions that Norwell has. Because they've shown that they're capable of putting up a lot of points as they did last week against New Haven. So if you can make this a low scoring battle, you give yourself a chance.
Brice Vance, outside Huddle.net, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And Brice, let's take a look at the SAC. And just like the other two leagues we talked about, there's a king at the top currently. It is Carroll. They're undefeated. They're the only undefeated team left in the SAC. They have a multi-game lead over every other team in the SAC, including Snyder sitting at 4-1, but they hold the tiebreaker. Let's take a different angle with Carroll when we look at this, and we feel they're in a good spot for the victory bell to win the SAC. But as has been known in terms of 6A, no area team has ever won a regional in Class 6A in the 9-10 years it's actually been a thing. Carroll's in a sectional with Penn, Warsaw, and Elkhart. It's not easy, not taking anything away from the Chargers, but do they have a realistic chance to make some noise in 6A in the North come the postseason?
I want to be optimistic and say yes, but I would give them a good chance to win the sectional. But I think that, like you said, where everybody else has been stopped is in that regional. And it just and when they get to those stages, it feels like those teams get into those games, and before you know it, they're down 2 touchdowns. It's just like they didn't know how in the world they got there by the end of the first quarter, and they just get punched in the mouth, and then they're trying to fight the entire time. And if you have a quarterback like Jimmy Sullivan, who I think has probably been the best player in the area, at least on the offensive side, for argument's sake, that if he can come out and perform and lead a couple of early drives in a regional game, and get into the end zone and spread the ball out, and that defense that Carroll has been able to build these last couple of years with so many guys that have experience and that can make plays and change the game with one play, with an interception or a fumble or a big tackle in the backfield. I just think that combination of having a quarterback and the right defense can take you a long way. And for Carroll, it's going to be obviously difficult, more difficult than say, for a Norwell in Class 3A or an Adams Central in Class 1A, who have a really good quarterback in their own right and a really good defense. But just when you get to that level at 6A, it's that much harder, and the mistakes that you make. And hopefully, when they get to that level, Jimmy doesn't make those, young quarterback mistakes, and he hasn't so far. So everything's trending in the right direction for Carroll to make some noise. And I'm optimistic that if it's not this year, you still have 2 more years of Jimmy Sullivan to hopefully break through in the next couple of years if you don't this year.
The beauty of it all is this is the final year we'll actually be asking this question in Week 6, because we'll actually get some non-conference games in Weeks 1 and 2. So we can get rid of this great unknown throughout the course of the season, whether any of the SAC teams can match up in their respective classes, because they will have some challenges out of the league.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody's been, yearning for in these last, handful of years, because they've been disappointed by the results that they make in the postseason. Maybe not so much complaints from the likes of Concordia or Bishop Lures or Bishop Dwenger, but the likes of Snyder and Homestead and Carroll, they just you'll have one really good Snyder team that breaks through. You have one really good Bishop Dwenger team that breaks through, but it's just the higher you go, the more difficult it becomes to make a run down to Indy, just because the teams around in and around Indy have had a stranglehold on not letting those teams outside of the 465 bubble and around, not letting them in and getting down to Indianapolis. It's just been very, very difficult. And that's why it's beneficial for those teams to play some of those teams that are around there, Hamilton Southeastern, the Westfields, and all those other programs that are seeking these challenges as well. And it's good for the likes of Carroll, Homestead, the Snyders, and all those programs.
Brice, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show this evening.
I always enjoy our time, Justin.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the nice, cool weather tomorrow night, and we'll catch up to you next week.
I will do that.
All right, bud. That was Brice Vance of Outside the Huddle.net joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. We're going to take a break, come back, talk to Michael Mosier, head football coach of the Adams Central Flying Jets. We'll talk some rivalry game with him and the Flying Jets taking on South Adams tomorrow night. This is Justin Kenny. You're listening to 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you get the right life insurance coverage for a cost that fits their budget. Remember, a difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopie Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years. The chill has arrived with a cool cash instant rebate of up to $1,550 on your complete carrier system or special financing up to 72 months from Masters Heating and Cooling. Turn to the experts with a 10-year parts and 3-year labor warranty, standard on every job, and their apples-to-apples price match guarantee. The chill is no problem with a cool cash rebate from Masters. Online at mastersheatcool.com.
We are Masters.
1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Let us know what you think and don't miss out on the latest in Fort Wayne sports. Facebook.com/1380 The Fan. Listen live at 1380thefan.com or download our new app. This is the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Back on a cool early fall Thursday evening here, talking week 6 of the high school football season. I'm Justin Penny. Later on in the show, we'll talk to Coach Josh Gerber of the Norwell Knights. A little later, about 6:45, Coach Kyle Booher of the New Haven Bulldogs. But right now, we're talking some ACAC football and Adams Central football in particular with Coach Michael Mosier. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Coach, outsiders will look at Adams Central, 5-0. They're number 2 in the state. They're humming right along. No problems at all. But as the head coach of the Flying Jets, I'm sure you can find plenty of things that your team needs to work on.
We've had a lot to work on, and I'm not satisfied where we are. I mean, we've played good enough to win. But we really have to work a lot on the little things. We're still missing a lot of the little things that we need to do efficiently if we're going to do well in the postseason, and we're still not quite there yet. Just execution, hustle, toughness, things like that we've been working hard on. The little things that count and matter, and we sometimes forget about those. And so that's what we've been working on these last few weeks for sure.
And it's definitely a team with a lot of underclassmen that people forget as well.
Yeah, we do. We have quite a bit. We don't have too many seniors. We have 4 that play consistently, and everybody else is underclassmen. And I think these guys have done a really good job of stepping in to fill some big shoes last year with the guys that we lost, and we're looking for them to just each week gain experience that can make them better. And I've been really pleased with how they play. We're still not there yet, as I said. We still have some mistakes that we are consistent on that we gotta stop. But I've been really pleased with how these young guys have stepped up and played. They play hard. We just got to get them to execute more efficiently.
I don't think your compatriots in the ACAC want to be reminded that you only have 4 seniors that play consistently, because they know they have to deal with you next year as well, Coach. But let's look back real quick to last week, and it was Heritage coming off a big win against South Adams, and they were playing at home, and you had to go in there, and you really took control from the outset. I can imagine that was a big point to go in there and really deflate them early.
Well, it was. I mean, we knew that we didn't play very well the week before at Jay County. I knew we were better than Jay County, but we just didn't play like it. We just kind of played down. We didn't play like I wanted to, and so all week we really focused on, as I said, those little things and getting all 11 to play hard. And that's really what we wanted, and I was really pleased with how we did that. We knew going into Heritage they're going to be up, coming off of a big win. They gained a lot of confidence, and they are a much improved, very, very good Heritage team. And our guys just kind of took them out early, and I was really proud of how they did that.
Coach, we mentioned a lot of the underclassmen that you rely on, but a couple seniors that have been huge for you. And I wanted to start with Ryan Black at quarterback, multi-year starter, and his calming influence offensively has to be a great asset to that unit. Oh,
yes, he has grown up tremendously since his sophomore year. I mean, there's been times, I think, of like the Eastside game early on where he made some key mistakes, threw a big pick for a score, and his sophomore year he would have crawled into a hole and wouldn't have been able to get out. And he has really stepped up. And he's able to learn like the good players do, that you make mistakes and you just move on. And he doesn't let it get to him too much, and knows that there's other plays that he has to be able to make, and he's been able to do that. He's been a big part of our success for sure. He runs that offense so confidently, and he's another coach on the field. He and I, are syncing how we want to do things, and it's really helped having him there for 2 previous years. He really has the experience needed and the leadership he needs to get things accomplished. So I've been really pleased with him.
How has the offensive and defensive lines come around? Because I know, particularly those units had to replace some big talent from a year ago.
Yeah, they've really stepped up. I think of we have a junior in Zach Worm. He has kind of been the rock of the offense and defensive line. We got senior Cody Lotson-Heiser, who's a 3-year starter. Those 2 guys in particular have really stepped up and did some great things for us. They are the leaders on the offensive line. The other guys follow them. They get things going, and when things don't go well, we blame them, and they can take it. They've done a really good job with that, and I have been pleased too. We've had some young guys that have had to step in. Lane Lankrich is one. Braden Moon is another. These guys have really stepped in. They're not playing perfectly. They're still making quite a few mistakes, but yet they're being coachable. They're willing to be coached, and they're doing the things that we want them to do to get better.
Coach Michael Mosier of the Adams Central Flying Jets joining us here on the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Insurance Services. Coach, one of your standout players, and he was this last year as a sophomore, Keegan Bloom, and he continues to blossom into a great two-way player for you.
Yeah, he is. He's a great player. How do you replace a Blake Hirely? And we were able to do that in Keegan Bloom, and he's really stepped into that role very well. Still kind of learning how to run. He hasn't run the ball since his 8th grade year, and so he's been having to learn how to do that again. But he's really stepped up and done a great job. And he's a great kid, works hard, knows the game of football, and just super coachable, and just plays sometimes with some reckless abandon. I like how he plays offense. I like how he plays defense.
Coach, you've had over the years seasons like this where you guys go undefeated or go with one loss through the regular season. And what is the key to keeping kids locked in, especially a young group, because they can get complacent over 9 weeks, and you need those guys playing at their best come week 10 and beyond? Yeah,
we stress that all the time, and I don't really have an answer. It's just something we have to be cognizant about. And, we haven't been there yet. I think sometimes we're really focused and then we are not focused. And that is the huge challenge in coaching, is getting these guys that each week, no matter who we're playing, you might be going in thinking that you're better than them, but it doesn't matter. You have to prove that, and you have to come out each and every day and practice like you're going to play. And we haven't really done that. But we're working on it, and it is a challenge. And I wish I had an easy button to press and make that go. But it is one of the biggest challenges that we have for sure, keeping them focused and keep striving to get better no matter who it is that we're playing.
I have to imagine you may be making a lot of money somewhere if you knew the answer to that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm still a poor teacher, so that tells you that.
Coach, you guys go on the road. It's a short jaunt to Bern tomorrow night, and you play South Adams. It's been a back-and-forth rivalry over the last several years. You guys clipped them twice last year, but what have you seen out of the Starfires? What do you guys need to be prepped for?
Well, I think they're a good team. We have been prepping all week for that. Their skill guys are very good. Their up front guys do a good job of allowing Owen Wander to sit back there and throw. Maverick Somerset does a great job of running the ball, and on defense, he's a force that you have to reckon with. So, I know that the South Adams team, they're going to come in. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to play hard. They're going to shift and stunt and blitz, and then they're going to try to finesse you. And we have to be ready for that. It's never an easy game. You have to throw the records. You throw the polls. You throw out the fact that, we beat Heritage pretty good and they got beat by Heritage. That means nothing. They're going to be ready to play us. They want to beat us bad, and they're going to give us their best. And so if we don't give them our best, we could come out losing the ball game. That's how significant that we take it, and we got to be ready to play because they're a good team, and they have a lot to offer and a lot that we have to be prepared for.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot for joining us, and great job through the first half of the season. But I know job's not done, so keep it up and good luck tomorrow night.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. That was Coach Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets, on the show here with us. His team 5-0, heading into a matchup with rival South Adams tomorrow night in Bern, as the Fighting Grant Mosiers would love nothing more than to hand Adams Central their first loss of the season. Another team in the area that's undefeated, it's the Norwell Knights. They're 5-0. They'll travel to Kendallville to take on the Knights tomorrow night. It is the 1380 game of the week tomorrow night. It'll be Shannon Griffith and Brett Rump on the call from Kendallville. We'll talk about the matchup coming up after the break with Coach Josh Gerber of the Norwell Knights here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopy Insurance Services on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you. A difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopie Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years.
Football fans can turn a loss into a win with the king of sportsbooks. Just place a single first touchdown scorer prop bet on any pro football game. If your bet loses, you'll receive up to $25 back in free bets. This offer is available all season long. Wager confidently and take your game to the next level with BetMGM. Just log into your account or download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Then, wager on any player to score the first touchdown in any pro football game, and if your bet misses, you'll get up to $25 back in free bets. Turn game time into showtime with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Indiana only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Are you tolerating your current job? Looking to have your weekends back? Want flexibility in your life? My team is growing, and I'm looking for an account manager. At Federated Media, I can give you an opportunity to be happy in a career and have a work-life balance. I'm looking for someone that is motivated, a hard worker, competitive, and ready to learn what it takes to be part of an incredible team at Federated Media. We move people every day, and I would love to move you into a new career. If you love this station, you might just be a perfect fit. You can apply today by emailing me your resume at CaseyTaxi@federatedmedia.com. That's KTAKSEY at federatedmedia.com. Or text the word WORK to 46862. That's WORK to 46862. Federated Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Come witness the best the sport of harness racing has to offer on Friday, September 23rd at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino for the 5th annual Caesars Trotting Classic Night and Community Night at the races. Join them for a night of Grand Circuit racing action highlighted by the $200,000 Caesars Trotting Classic and the return of the world's fastest standardbred, Bulldog Hanover in the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. See these harness racing champions in action alongside free family entertainment, handicapping contests, giveaways, and more. First post is at 6:15 p.m. and admission is free. Visit harrahshoosierpark.com for a full lineup of racing events and details.
I can't think of any way to improve upon the service that I receive.
Gibson's Heating and Plumbing is your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer that is ranked #1 out of nearly 300 dealers nationwide in customer satisfaction. Here's what Gibson's customers are saying.
The office is always courteous. Gibson's service tech is exceptional in his attitude and performance, and is friendly and efficient as he follows up and explains what he's done that day and what needs to be done if there's going to be a follow-up. Kudos to Gibson's for their outstanding service.
Your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Gibson'sHeating.com.
Now back to the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everyone. Week 6 edition of the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. And coming up tomorrow night, it'll be a Northeast 8 clash between the Norwell Knights and the East Noble Knights. It'll be the game of the week here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Let's break it all down with the head coach of the Norwell Knights, Josh Gerber, who joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad, Coach. And, I think we were all pretty surprised at that final score last week against New Haven, and the fact that your defense scored 30 points on its own told a lot of the story. Just a tremendous performance. Just a tremendous performance for you guys in what has been a series of them to start the year.
Yeah, you know what? Really felt good about the game plan that Coach Taylor and the defensive guys came up with, and our kids executed it really, really well. I told the guys after the game, I don't think I've ever been a part of a game with 3 defensive touchdowns scored by one team, and then to get a safety on top of that, it was the guys were lights out. We knew we had our hands full with Mr. Graham, but our kids responded well. They stepped up the challenge and played really well for us.
Coach, when you look over the course of these 5 games, I mean, the numbers are astounding. You know, you're state best in terms of points allowed. You know, I was impressed with going to Mississinawa in week 1 and handling business, and then you dominate Leo in week 3. You dominate New Haven last week. You know, Heritage has turned out to be a very solid team, and you blank them. You know, I had Adams Central coach Michael Mosher on before you, and I said, you know, outsiders will think everything's great, but you as a coach, I'm sure, have plenty of things you still want to address with this group.
You know, absolutely. You know, we watched the film, you know, Saturday morning with the kids, and we're always looking to nitpick and to find things that we can be better at. And there's always things. No one's ever going to play a perfect game. It may feel that way sometimes, but we've been on the end of what felt like a perfect game being played by our opponent. But there's always things to work on and to get better at. And, you know, and hopefully our kids, they can see that and find a couple things each week to focus on to make them better players, because when they all get a little bit better, we get a lot better as a team. And they've seemed to have done really well with that this year.
Coach, the season ended last year at home against Brebeuf. It was a lopsided loss, and I think, you know, it was very much a gut check. You know, Brebeuf was very physical with you guys. Was that a point of emphasis heading into this year, is raising that bar for the postseason?
Well, you know, I don't know if that necessarily was. I think what happened a little bit, I think we had made our goal to win that sectional. I think we set our sights a little bit low. I think that we were a little bit satisfied with having won that. And then we went into it really beat up. Luke Graff he had dinged like a bruised quad. John Colbert had dislocated his shoulder in the sectional final. We were thin.
Yeah.
But, you know, no excuses. They whipped our tail. But, you know, I think that as coaches, we may have put too much emphasis on winning the sectional and not enough on advancing deep in that tournament and making more of a run. And I felt that maybe with some of our guys there was maybe a little bit of complacency, like, hey, we accomplished what we set out to do. We got the goal. And now we're, you know, maybe now they, you know, I think they were kind of done. You know, I think more than like that physicality, I think it's just been realizing that we can play with anybody. And that's got to be the goal. And the goal has got to be to make, if we want to make that deep run, we got to realize that we can play with the Chitards and the Brebeufs and the West Lafayette. I mean, those are the people that we've got to be ready for, and we can't be can't be satisfied with just the sectional.
Coach Josh Gerber, Norwell Knights, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopy Insurance Services. And Coach, you mentioned about being sharp and continuing to hone the skills. And, you know, you guys have owned the Northeast 8 thus far. Going to be a challenge to go to East Noble tomorrow night. But how do you balance the fact that you guys want to continue to get better and be the best you can be with week 10 with the fact that you guys are dominating your opponents? How do you keep that fire lit throughout the regular season when you're winning by such large margins?
You know, we talk to guys all the time about, you know, we're not just playing this week. We're not just playing East Noble. We're playing everybody on the schedule after East Noble, and even those people that we're going to end up playing that we don't know yet. We've got to get better with each day and with each week. It's not enough just to beat East Noble. That's not the goal. The goal this year is never be to just beat East Noble. It's to advance deep in a tournament. And if we're going to do that, we've got to have that focus where each day we're working to get better. Each week we're trying to get better. And the kids have embraced that. They've kept a level head. They've stayed focused on who we're playing, but they've also worked to become better players so that hopefully we can make that deep run.
Coach, you guys have relied upon a lot of players that are multi-sport athletes, and I think that's something maybe that we discount when we talk about football with these guys, but it's also basketball, it's also baseball. How has that, you know, multi-sport, approach in playing multi-sports really helped these guys develop both? I'm sure as a team it's helped them come together as teammates, but also in their development as football players.
You know what, I think that it's good. It keeps them sharp, and they're competitive all year round. They're a group that genuinely enjoys each other, and we work with the other coaches to make sure that we're not making kids pick in the summer. we try to hold off on our football stuff until July if we can, so that June can be for baseball and for basketball. We want our kids to do it all. We want our kids to be three-sport kids. I think there's a lot of value in that. I think that, like you said, though, we're going to move differently. We're going to work different muscles. But, we know our guys are still committed to what we want to do. They're still going to come in and lift and be better football players. But doggone it, a school like our size, we need all of our kids playing, and we need them all playing multiple sports. And when we do that, we have a successful athletic program. We don't want to be just a football school. We want to be a school that's good at everything.
Coach, when we talk about Norwell, and, a lot of people know about the stars, the Leighton Baileys and the Graff boys and Brody and Kyle Zettis and these guys, is there anybody that's kind of stepped up for you this year in clutch roles that maybe hasn't gotten the attention?
Oh, yeah. We've got a few of those kids, and I think that like an Aiden Roos, who is he's a quiet kid. He doesn't get a lot of touches offensively, but he's a lights-out middle linebacker for us. Klein Neuenschwander is a kid who's been getting better each year, and he's a two-way starter for us as a wide receiver and a defensive back, and he's having himself a great year. Cade Shelton's a quiet kid, another wide receiver, defensive back who doesn't get a lot of publicity, but, boy, he's been a really good ball player for us. So we've got a number of those guys. Drew Ringer, we asked him in week one to carry the ball about 30 times, and he picked up a couple hundred yards for us because we didn't have Graft or Colbert in the backfield. So we've got a lot of these guys who are talented athletes, and they've really stepped up and helped us in a lot of different ways this year.
Coach, let's talk about tomorrow night. You go to Kendallville. You take on the East Noble Knights, a team that you guys have beaten back-to-back seasons. Anything you can take from those two games in 2020 and 2021 and apply it to this year?
Well, I think that, first off, just having some confidence going up there. That's a great environment, a great place to go play. I don't think our guys will be rattled by that. We know that they're going to play with a ton of energy and a ton of passion. They're going to be well coached. And we can look back at how they played us the last couple of years and how we played them. But I think more importantly, just knowing that, for a long time we didn't beat East Noble. We had a hard time with those guys. And then now, the ability to go up there and win is something that's tangible for our kids. It's not something that they've dreamt about or anything like that. We hadn't beat Leo in a long time, and it was a little bit, it was almost like, can we do this when we went up there this year? And we don't have to feel that this year. I mean, we can go up there with some confidence knowing that we can get the job done.
And, Coach, when you look at it, who's getting chewed out tomorrow if you guys give up more than 7 points? It hasn't happened this year.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to get chewed out unless we're making mistakes.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Honestly,
it's just amazing what you guys have been able to do on that side of the ball.
Yeah, defensively, we've been so good. And special teams helps with that. Our kicker, Austin De Leon, he puts in the end zone most every time. So, our defense has got a long field to work with. But it's a veteran group. I think sometimes they're making adjustments before we even tell them that we need to make those adjustments. They're bright. They're just, they're a hard-working bunch. They take pride in what they do. And we want to be the best. I think, like you asked the kids on the defense, one of their goals would be to be the best in the state. That's something that we want. And we're always going to hang our hat on our defense. If we're going to, we can't always out-athlete people, but we can always out-tough you and out-defend you. And that's kind of the goal there.
Coach, you've been around a minute, and I can imagine it's a luxury to have a team like this in the sense that they're experienced and they've played multiple years together. They know what they're supposed to do. I wouldn't say it makes the coaching job easier, but is it maybe a little bit more confidence on the coaching staff when these guys, like you mentioned, are able to adjust and see things even before you guys tell them?
Yeah, definitely. It's a good way to say it. It doesn't make it easier, but there's a little bit more confidence in the adjustments that we can make and knowing that they're going to get them. And honestly, in the summer and during our camp, our preseason practices, we were able to get a lot more installed just because they could handle more. We were a little bit ahead in terms of what we had put in offensively and defensively. So that was really nice as well, just because of the veteran group and they can handle that stuff. They know what they're doing, and then just the continuity that they have as a defensive line or an offensive line, that stuff matters, and it's just really nice to have that. And it's just kind of fun to watch as a coach too.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot for joining us. Congrats on the 5-0 start, but I know you guys aren't done. Good luck tomorrow night in Kendallville.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That was Coach Josh Gerber of the Norwell Knights joining us here on a Thursday evening. His team 5-0, ranked in the top 5 in Class 3A right now, and they'll head up to East Noble tomorrow night, a team that they have beaten back-to-back seasons. We'll see if Norwell can make it 3 straight. You can hear that game right here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. To keep it in the Northeast state, we'll talk to Coach Kyle Booher of the New Haven Bulldogs when we come back. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you get the right life insurance coverage for a cost that fits their budget. Remember, a difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopie Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years.
Marcus Freeman and the 2022 Notre Dame football team are locked and loaded for a season sure to have all the excitement of a shootout at high noon. To stay on top of it all, join me, Phil Houck, and America's foremost authority on Notre Dame football, Tim Priester, senior editor of IrishIllustrated.com. Saturday mornings at 10 sharp for the 26th season of Fighting Irish Preview. Saturday mornings at 10, it's Fighting Irish Preview on 1380 The Fan.
Mama, what does the chicken say? Dog. Cat. Giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why? Why do we ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right? The answer to why defines who we are. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For my family.
For each other. Because all of this matters. We all have something worth protecting. So why do you see safe? Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
So DraftKings Sportsbook asked me, Kevin Hart, actor, comedic rock star, and lifelong Eagles fan, Go Birds, to fill you in on their latest offer. New customers can now bet $5 on the NFL and get 200 in free bets instantly. Hold up, wait a minute. Not only do I get 200 win or lose, but I get it instantly? Come on, DraftKings. You're not going to make me work for it? Sweat it out for at least a minute? Feel some extra bumps in my chest while the game's going on? You're crazy, DraftKings. Crazy.
Get action you can count on at DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now, use promo code ODDCOUPLE. Bet $5 on any NFL team and get 200 in free bets instantly. That's promo code ODDCOUPLE at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for terms and resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. One per new customer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued as $25 free bets.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the High School Coaches Show. So Mark Morrison bringing us out of the break. Coming up tomorrow night, it will be a Northeast 8 showdown here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. It'll be Norwell traveling to East Noble to take on the East Noble Knights in Kenneville, a team very familiar with the Norwell Knights last week, and I'm sure he wants to move on from it as quickly as possible. New Haven coach Kyle Booher joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Not bad, Coach. It was a rough one last week in Ossian against Norwell, but what'd you take out of that game to fuel you for what is another big one coming up at Columbia City tomorrow night?
Norwell's a good squad, and they were ready to play, and our guys were, ready to. They were playing physical, and we just made some mistakes that they capitalized on and finished. And so this week we were really big on taking care of the ball and doing those little things and really focusing on the details that we kind of got away from last week. So tying up that energy and aggression and then getting it back to nice, good football and disciplined style like we played at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, how much is a game like last week a good way to get the kids' attention?
Yeah, I mean, it is a good one, like you said. So sometimes, you get in the groove and you think you're just doing everything all right, and then you get a wake up when, somebody's there to play just as tough as you are, or they're as big and as physical, and you got to find some heart underneath there and stick to your training and some of the things that we know. And, a big team that's physical like that brings that to the first quarter, so you got to be ready.
Coach, it's part of a brutal stretch for you. Leo, Norwell, Columbia City in consecutive weeks. What have you learned about your group over the past 2 weeks that you can really put into play for the remainder of the season?
Man, I mean, we are a resilient group. I think every position group, what we were just talking about today again and looking through, I don't think we've had the same starting group for any of the games at any position group, from skills, line, any side of the ball, offense or defense. We've had either injuries or grades or other things that we've kind of changed our expectations this year. And so we've been tough on the kids, and they're rising up to the expectations and making it there. So now it's working on getting healthy. But, after a game like that we played against Norwell, this week, I mean, the kids were at practice working their butts off and wanted to, change where it was going. And they've done a great job, mentally and physically coming out this week and giving some more leadership roles and giving them some more things to do to take ownership of the things that we do in the practice and the locker room on the team time. And they've really owned up to it and done a lot of things moving the right direction. So like you said, I think we've learned that our guys are resilient and they're ready to keep finding ways to work hard even after something that's so, defeating like it was at the time.
Coach, I know it's easy to start with Mylan Graham, but wanted to address the defense, and you've had some guys step up, on that side of the ball. Corinne Harris is very solid. I think Jay Maris is one of the better players that nobody gives a lot of credit to. I think, you've had some other guys, even a sophomore, Audrey-Ann Anderson, that has stepped up in a lot of ways as well. And you mentioned the resiliency of this group, particularly that front seven, having to rotate guys in and out depending on availability per week. It's been a unit that's had to face some adversity, but by and large has played pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like you said, there's a sophomore, Audrey-Ann does a great job. We filled in some other guys. Corin is a junior, but he didn't have, a full season of starts as a sophomore. So, he's a newer leader on the group, and all those guys just work their butts off. And that's the thing. They know, the next man's up, and they're going to work as hard as the guy before them. And so they're willing to work whoever's there. And, one of those guys, like you said, Jay Maris, is like you said, he gets overshadowed. He doesn't make any, mistakes. You don't ever see him on the field. But then he also, he's a play safety, so you don't throw a lot of balls in his direction. He has good coverage, so he's got a quiet night, but he's doing his job so well that it's, people miss him, and he really is a great player for us, and a senior, has kind of stepped into one of those roles, helping those young guys develop, and whoever's in there and communicates with them pretty well. So, those guys have been a great job of just doing whatever's asked of them and working their butts off to get better.
Coach Kyle Booher, New Haven Bulldogs, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. Offensively, Coach, you had a new quarterback come in to replace Jakar Williams. It's Donovan Williams, and he comes over from Northside. And I think it can be difficult for a quarterback to come in and command the offense in such a quick fashion when you haven't been there for very long. And it seems like Donovan has been able to do that and really insert himself into the lineup with the confidence of his teammates without missing a beat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just, we were training other guys at quarterback, and then when he came in the middle of the summer, he really did. He stepped in, and he had to earn a spot. He had to take over and take command and win out against the other guys, but he just is a great kid that you'd love to have on your team. He really even stepped into, the traditional roles of the quarterback, of building the team up, making sure holding everybody accountable, but he's such a positive kid. Everybody on the field loves having him around. I mean, just his personality and his work ethic. He was, a whole year behind on everybody learning the offense, and he knows it as well as anybody now. And, he's way behind the starting, but he figured it out, put the work in, showed everybody he was willing to work hard and do it. And at the same time, he was just such a positive influence that everybody liked having him around. And so it's kind of easy for them to rally around him just because he's been such a good guy and found ways to help everybody else get better.
And I know another junior in Trey Bates has been a tremendous asset for you offensively.
Oh, man, Trey, we were on the offseason, they're like, man, he's going to surprise some people because he is a guy that will work his butt off. I don't think he missed a single off-season lift. He didn't get in his weight training class, so he'd show up at 6 o'clock every morning. We'd lift all off-season, all through basketball, all through track, through a state track run. He was a anchor on the 4x1 team, and, I mean, he never missed a day. He was always there, always doing something. He would, after practice, come to those open gym sessions we get in the winter and the spring, and he was at practice. We said, nope, you got to go home, go home, get some rest. And he's one of those kids that always shows up ready to work. And so, we knew he was going to put in some good work this year, and he really shown it and, improved some things this year. And I think last couple of weeks we've seen a few more things out of him in practice, and hopefully he gets to show it in the field this week where he's got his vision is really improved and done some things that he's been working hard.
Coach, Mylan Graham, another junior. What have you seen out of Mylan? He blew up over the summer, of course, with offers and scholarships, particularly out of SEC country. But what have you seen from the day-to-day from Mylan that has seen him elevate his game to the next level?
I mean, he's one of the, we talked earlier about energy, but he's one of the energy leaders. He's the first one, when we break out of the warm-ups and get ready to go into practice, he gets everybody fired up. He gets going, and they want to follow him. They know he's got the good stuff going on, so he brings a good energy for the group. And Coach was just talking about, he doesn't take off reps. All practice, he was in and doing drills and doing team time, and he'll run some defense, he'll run some offense, he does whatever. And when he's in there, I mean, he usually has his high-level reps. He doesn't stand around and do nothing or do little things. So he's just his energy really helps push the other guys on the team to be where they need to be, do what they need to do, and just a good leadership by example. And is starting to, as a junior, starting to come into his own as a vocal leader where, as a sophomore, it was tough with a big senior team last year to come in and command all that. And I don't think he wanted to take anything away. I think people would have followed him. But he just, kind of knew his role and wanted to do his job. And now, like I said, he's kind of being that emotional leader, getting people going and trying to develop them and doing the right thing.
Coach, you go to Columbia City tomorrow night. What are the focal points to come out with a win?
We got to run the ball a lot better than we have the last couple of weeks. Again, we've been shuffling the line and getting guys healthy, and I think we've got a combination of healthy guys this week to be able to move the ball and control it a little bit better like we did early in the season. And then the same way on the defensive side, we've got to be able to stop the run a little bit better than we have in the last few weeks. They haven't been terrible, but we'd really like to shut them down and get Columbia City off schedule. That's their goal, is they want to keep marching down the field chunk by chunk and then wait till we make a mistake and capitalize. So we really got to get them out of their game plan by playing good, disciplined football and not letting them, stay on their schedule where they can do whatever they want and put them in some tough situations.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good luck tomorrow night. And I have to tell you, that cornhole loss, I still lose sleep. over the cornhole loss from prior to the season at your fundraiser. Oh, I was up 19. We were up 19-9 and blew it, man. I still wake up in some cold sweats over that. Devastating.
I bet. I appreciate you coming.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks.
That was Coach Kyle Booher of the New Haven Bulldogs. Yeah, 19-9 we're up, and of course, 1st to 21 in cornhole lost and were eliminated in the preseason fundraiser for New Haven Bulldogs football. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to Brice.
Podcasts by Federated Media.